Okay, I just wanted to kind of show off this new flight simulator that I just picked up this week. It's called X-Plane 10, and I haven't had a whole lot of time with it yet, but I was flying around tonight, and I was coming out of Dayton International Airport, which is right near where I live, and I was just really kind of amazed by the roads and how the game kind of portrays the environment. But the roads are based off of the OpenStreetMaps database, so all the roads are, extremely accurate. So I'm just going to kind of take off here from Dayton International Airport. I should be heading kind of towards the Englewood area when I get off the ground here. So I'm going to unpause this. I'm kind of in the middle of a takeoff right now, so let's just get going and I'll show you some of the stuff that I saw. So I'm using a SciTech flight yoke system. I've got a yoke, rudder pedals, and a throttle quadrant. So I'm not going to get too much altitude here because I want to stay low and show you what I'm talking about here. So this road that's right up in front of us should be 40 or National Road. And if I turn this way a bit, we should see the exit ramp to the airport access road. So I'm going to show you that, and you'll kind of get an idea for how accurate these roads are if you're familiar with the area. So right up here is this little kind of overpass, and the access road is right here. And hopefully as we're flying around, it'll start to get a little darker out, and you'll start to see some of the lighting effects that this game can do. Yeah, so if you notice, if you're familiar at all with the airport access road, you'll recognize this. It's a two-lane kind of split road that heads off in that direction towards I-70. So let's just kind of follow that a little ways. I'll take us up to I-70 here, and then we'll head back around to show you another cool little thing. So you should notice that it kind of curves back around here, and you'll see this road here is I-70. It goes, that's kind of a weird elevation issue there, but that's I-70 that goes that way. So that's something I take to work every single day, and it looks very familiar. So Dayton is actually off, off here in the distance. I'm going to change the time just a little bit and see if we can get it to be a little bit darker out. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. So one thing that's really impressive to me are just the cars and the way they really give you some perspective on kind of how high up you are. So that curves around and gets you right onto I-70 down there, just like the real thing. So you'll notice off here, if we go this way, let's do this. I'll take you and show you the 70-75 interchange, which a lot of you guys should be familiar with, live nearby. Another kind of neat thing is they have street signs that just kind of lends to the authenticity, makes it look more viable. Like if you see right here, there's a street sign. There's a green street sign right there. But right up here is the 70-75 interchange. That's 75 heading off that way, all the way down to Dayton. I don't think they, the buildings and stuff are all autogen, so, you know, houses and buildings aren't going to be accurate to what's really there, but the roads are all very accurate in their location, positioning, and all that stuff, shape. So there's the 70-75 interchange. And you can see 70 continues on through those curves all the way into Huber Heights. So I'm going to come back around. And I think I'd like to fly you over to West Milton and see if we can find where my house would be. Tracy and I actually did this the other night, where I actually just landed the plane on the road right outside of the Dayton Airport, Dayton International Airport. Just landed right on Route 40 and drove the back roads all the way to West Milton. Found our house. It was really, really kind of cool because yeah, every little kind of hill and turn and side street was all where we would expect it to be, and it was just really kind of cool to do that. So I think it'd be kind of neat for somebody to kind of mod this game a little bit and just put a car that you can drive in the game. Since the roads are so accurate, you could just have a fun time driving, even though this is a flight simulator. But the really cool thing about this flight simulator that's different than most or any other flight simulator that I've ever played with is that it uses a different way to calculate the forces on the plane. And instead of like using a set of data points that tell the game how a plane should fly, it actually uses the shape of the plane, of the actual 3D model, and calculates the forces that apply to it. And it's a much more realistic feeling simulation model than anything you'll get out of like Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is what I've been using for years. This has, you know, I feel like I'm constantly having to adjust the plane to, you know, account for the wind and effects of the atmosphere on the plane, which I never had to do in Flight Simulator. Flight Simulator, you sort of set your throttle and just let it go, and it flies smooth and straight. There's a big jet taking off at Dayton International. Let's watch that for a second. All of the flight physics apply to the AI controlled airplanes as well. So,
alert.
So if it's a really windy day, you'll see that plane getting kind of blown around too. But I've got it set pretty calm. So anyway, I was going to take you over to the Englewood area. So we're right back to where we started here. That's the exit ramp to the 35. I'm sorry, to the airport access road. Going off that way. So if we follow this, it should be 40 all the way to Englewood across the Englewood Dam. I should be able to take that into West Milton and find my house. Sure are a lot of hot air balloons out today. I've also been really impressed with the night lighting effects and stuff. Usually, like other flight simulators, when it turns nighttime, they replace the texture on the ground with a nighttime texture, so it's like black with kind of lights painted onto them. But this game doesn't do it that way. It actually has lights, so it will adjust the brightness of the sun's light, and slowly lights will turn on, and you can already see like some headlights on the cars and stuff, but it gives a much more accurate looking look to a nighttime than I've ever seen before. So as we continue to fly here and it gets later and later, you'll see it slowly transitioning to nighttime, and it just looks very natural. I'm really impressed with that. But I'm just super impressed that the area is so familiar. I know exactly where I am. We basically are heading, this is the Englewood Dam area, and that would be the bridge. One thing that's a little disappointing, you see some water here, but they kind of don't get the rivers and water bodies that I would really expect, because we should see some water around here, but they don't capture that. But they did a good job anyway. Hopefully that can get added to as time goes on. So this is gonna sort of dead end right into 48, I believe, in Englewood. That's the 70. Got some weirdness with the elevation levels of the road, but so anyway, I'm gonna turn right here and follow this, which should be 48. See if we can take that into West Milton. There's a lot of airport runways that kind of show up here that I'm not familiar with, but I think what it does is, even if there's like a little grass strip or something, it probably just puts lights on it. This is kind of a generic set of properties for a runway. So I'm guessing there's all these runways out here that nobody knows about, but maybe they're just kind of grass runways in somebody's backyard. I'm not totally sure about that, but there just sure seems to be a lot of runways in this area that I don't know about. So there's Dayton International over there off to our right, and that's kind of the I think that's the park there, Englewood Reserve. Some altitude here as I make my way to West Milton. And I'm thinking there's a Phillipsburg airport, either that or what did I see off over here? Maybe over here. But that'll be a good place for us to land when we're finished with this little flight. Probably the Union Clayton area. Right about up here, should start getting into West Milton. So I'm gonna slow it down, level our altitude off a little bit here. We're at about 2,000 feet right now. I think I'm expecting to find Frederick Garland, or I'm not sure what it's called, but it's the road I take in. Yeah, I think this is it. Right here. That should be where I typically come home from work. I follow this around. There should be a river down here, but it just doesn't show it. So right up here, we're getting into West Milton. So I gotta kind of pay attention here and make sure I don't miss my street. I believe my friend Courtney lives right around here. Lose some altitude here if I can. Yeah, so this road I'm guessing comes around and then this is a little neighborhood that my friend lives right in here. So if I were to see, they don't show this road accurately right here, but this is basically Main Street and 48 going through West Milton. And if this is Main Street, then this right here I think is Stillwater. And if that's Stillwater, yeah, that's it right there. There's a sharp curve here. This road right here is my road. And right on this bend, right there is my house. Right there. Alright, I better not crash this while I am doing this. So that's the little town of West Milton. And we'll find 571 right there going off towards Tip City. Alright, I need some altitude. Come back around again. I believe this is my road. Yep, and this bend right here, that's my house. And that's my neighbor Shirley. And Tracy's parents are right here. Right there. Okay. So if I get up some altitude, let's find a runway and we'll land and we can finish this little tour. This one looks like it'll work. So yeah, most of my experiences with Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I'm really having to get used to this, the way the plane behaves in this game, where it just kind of, you can just feel everything that's happening on the outside of the plane, and I'm constantly kind of making these little micro adjustments to keep the plane going where I want it to. So I'm really having to use the rudder pedals, and probably hear me always adjusting the throttle, and if you can see the throttle down there as I move it forward and backwards. So it's a lot more dynamic, and you're really more involved with the plane, which is really neat. But at the same time, I don't have the smoothest landings yet because I'm so used to Microsoft Flight Simulator that it's just so much more rigid and mechanical. So this is a different experience, so we'll give this a shot, see how smooth we can land down at that runway. So I'm going to pull my throttle back so we can just start losing a little bit of altitude here. Drop a level of flaps. I don't know how to contact air traffic control, so I'm just going to land without permission here. But that's one thing I'd like to figure out is the air traffic control, because it's supposed to be really, really neat. But for now, we'll just break the law or whatever. Land without clearance. So I just need to kind of keep losing altitude. I'm going to drop another level of flaps. You can actually see them coming down there. Okay. Get ourselves good and lined up. Do the last level of flaps. Myself a little bit of a nose up attitude. A little high still. Come on. I'm really high actually. Kill my engine a little bit. Alright, start to flare a little bit. Slow us down. Oh boy, I don't run off the runway here. Okay. Hey, it's not horrible. Use my toe brakes to bring us to a stop, hopefully. Come on. Stop, plane, stop. Hey, I'd call that a success. Alright, now I'm going to turn on the replay here real quick and let's just have a second look at that landing. Watch this guy coming in. So it looks like we're right at the end of the runway here. So we'll watch his approach and then go to a side view and see how the touchdown was. That was actually pretty good. I definitely was a little bit high and maybe a little fast, but I was able to stop it before the end of the runway. So I'd say that's a success. So there you go. X-Plane 10 simulator. It's pretty awesome. So, thanks for watching.